This episode of Infinite Scroll is brought to you by Coach Love, the new fragrance by Coach. Inspired by all the ways we express love, Coach Love is a fruity floral scent that makes the perfect gift for your loved one or even yourself this Valentine's Day. Coach Love opens with top notes of wild strawberry, features a rich heart note of red velvet rose, and dries down with a warm base note of cedar wood. And to celebrate love in all its forms, Coach will be hosting an event for my listeners on February 15th at America Grande Brasserie in Sydney. This event will be from 6 p.m. to 8:15 p.m., and there are 25 spots available, so click the link below to reserve your free ticket. The event will include fragrance discovery, tarot card readings, canapes, and sweet treats, and I will be there interviewing guests about what love means to them. Again, reserve your spot for the event at the link below. On December 8th, 2021, 17-year-old Brooklyn Webb released her first single titled My Crown, a catchy electro-pop bop dedicated to her haters. Brooklyn is a TikTok creator from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Like many teenagers at the time, Brooklyn began posting on the app in 2019. By March 2020, she had over 100,000 followers. 3 months later, largely thanks to the pandemic lockdown, Brooklyn hit 1 million followers. After finding success from posting content like POV skits, dances, and lip syncs, Brooklyn started using her platform to speak out about body positivity and mental health, topics that subjected her to an onslaught of misogynistic vitriol and unwarranted criticism. This hate was further fueled by the release of her single. With lyrics like, "Everybody wants a piece of my crown, you need to calm down, tear me down, you sound jealous, that's sweet, but you'll never get a piece of my crown," the song instantly turned into a meme, partly for its cringy message and partly for Brooklyn's off-tune singing and obvious auto-tune. But given the creator's massive following of over 10 million at the time, the song's virality came as no surprise. What did come as a surprise, however, was her subsequent album release, appropriately titled My Crown the Album, which featured 14 songs that were all remixes of the same single. Brooklyn did what so many creators dream of doing. She trolled the haters back, admitting on December 18th in a YouTube video that her singing career was fake and her content was performance art. This viral stunt put Brooklyn on top. She gained thousands of followers, moved to LA, was interviewed by several mainstream outlets, and My Crown the Album reached number 7 on the Spotify charts. By all counts, Brooklyn was on track to be one of Gen Z's biggest internet stars, but she would soon find out that one viral moment does not a successful influencing career make. From Centennial World, I'm Lauren Meisner, and this is Infinite Scroll, a podcast about internet culture, the creator economy, and how social media is shaping Gen Z. Welcome back! This is the new solo Infinite Scroll. So I'll be releasing these episodes on Fridays, and I have something very exciting in the works to replace our Tuesday viral news, but bear with me for the time being because it is not quite ready yet. So as always, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Sign up to our newsletter, which is also called Infinite Scroll. On Wednesdays, we send out a commentary article about a trend, a creator drama, or just some news that's going on in the viral space. And on Fridays, we round up the 5 biggest think pieces on the internet from that week. And please also join our Geneva group, which is also titled Infinite Scroll, where you can chat with other people who are obsessed with internet culture and creator drama and tea. Brooklyn's story is one we've seen repeatedly since TikTok's explosion amid the 2020 COVID-19 lockdowns. A creator goes viral, gets tons of followers, quits their job or drops out of school, and moves to Los Angeles to make it as an influencer. A few years on, however, these creators seem to have been deleted from the zeitgeist. While they might still have millions of followers, their career peaked at that single viral moment, and they've struggled to convert their viral fame into a sustainable career ever since. This career trajectory is what TikTok users are now calling flop influencers, a term that originated from a viral video posted by Evan Smith on January 13th. In the TikTok, which now has over 1.6 million views, Evan says,
When people think of influencers, I feel like they go to Alex Earl and like Charli D'Amelio, and I think of like the flops. Like those influencers in 2020, they like moved to LA and they like quit their old jobs and now they're like nothing.
Evan and the viewers in the comment section went on to list notable flop influencers, many of whom were part of that same pandemic-era boom as Brooklyn. Among the influencers that were named the most were Sienna May and Axel Weber. Sienna May went viral for her dance videos and posts about body positivity. However, Sienna later found herself in a number of controversies involving her ex-boyfriend Jack Wright, who was also a TikTok star. These controversies expedited the fizzling out of her influencer career. Axel Weber shot to fame in 2021 with a video of his very small apartment in New York City. He then found fame when he posted about applying to Juilliard. He eventually revealed that he was not accepted to the prestigious university, and this actually led his fans to spam the school to accept him. And fun little personal fact for you guys, I actually flew to New York and auditioned for Juilliard when I was 17 years old. And just like Axel, I also did not get accepted. But unfortunately, nobody spammed the school for me. I basically just went home and cried. Others in the comment section named Moop, who went viral for her lip sync videos with bloodshot eyes in 2020, and Jake Coleman, who gained popularity for doing dances at a service station. To understand the flop influencer phenomenon, it is worth considering the life cycle of an influencer, which is something that many scholars and journalists over the years have attempted to document. But what it always seems to boil down to is the influencer-follower relationship. It's this relationship that determines the longevity of an influencer's career. In a 2020 conference paper titled "The Evolution of Influencer-Follower Relationships: A Life Cycle Approach," authors Soren Kosher, Sarah Kosher, and Linda Alker examined these influencer-follower relationships. Focusing on different aspects like follower interest, engagement, and trust, the authors established 4 consecutive relationship stages. Number 1, analysis. Number 2, affection, which is also known as the peak state. Number 3, attenuation. And number 4, alienation. So using this logic, flop influence rapidly rises at the peak state, which is stage number 2, affection, and declines from there. It's in the 4th stage of alienation that an influencer has essentially lost their influence or bond with their followers. The authors write, quote, "From a practical perspective, our findings suggest that not the number of followers per se, but the number of followers in the peak stage of the influencer-follower relationship, referred to as the affection phase, should be considered a key figure when planning campaigns. In order to remain attractive to marketers in the long run, our results suggest that influencers should aim at having an ample number of followers situated in early relationship stages, indicating that popular influencers should not rest on a large number of followers and stop acquiring new followers." While these findings about the influencer life cycle are not necessarily new, the rise of short-form video and the pandemic lockdowns changed viral culture and has, unfortunately for creators, put this life cycle into overdrive. Ever since TikTok basically became the pinnacle of the internet, 3 key things have changed. 1, content consumption, 2, communication, and 3, community building. All 3 of these work in tandem to impact the new influencer life cycle. Though TikTok is trying to introduce longer form content by upping the video length limit and boosting creators who post videos more than 1 minute long, it's clear that audiences prefer short form content, at least from this app. And the time constraints of short form content have ultimately changed how we communicate online. As Annabelle Ben-David writes for Centennial World, quote, "Watching short-form content limits the opportunity to incorporate context and critical thought, leaving TikTok comment sections susceptible to an endless dribble of whataboutisms and often undue criticism." With TikTok creators struggling to communicate with their audiences effectively, at least in comparison to creators of platforms past, community building has also changed. In other words, it's increasingly difficult for creators to establish proper connection with their audience when these audiences are often misinterpreting their words or taking their content in bad faith. This is part of the reason why dance videos and lip-syncing videos were so popular in the early days of TikTok. They were appropriate for short-form content. Rebecca Jennings for Vox notes how the algorithm has conditioned audiences to take content in bad faith and, in turn, rewarded mediocrity and superficial content from its creators. Quote, "TikTok fame celebrates a kind of mediocrity. The kind where relatability means adhering to the internet's fluctuating beauty standards and approachable middle-classness and never saying anything that might indicate a personality. This, as opposed to the kind of relatability you get from hearing someone articulate a specific feeling or watching someone else experience a similar kind of mundanity you recognize in your own life. The songs, the shows, and the specials to come out of TikTok fame feel hollow, the opposite of good art. which has a point of view and a meaning beyond itself. The instantaneous nature of TikTok fame has also made building a community of like-minded and dedicated followers increasingly difficult. When YouTube reigned supreme, content creators took years to build a sizable and engaged following. Zoella, a beauty and lifestyle YouTuber from the UK who launched her channel in 2009, posted consistently for 3 years before hitting 1 million subscribers. Other A-list creators like Jenna Marbles and PewDiePie reached the same milestone of 1 million subscribers in approximately 1 and 2 years respectively. But when we look at pandemic-era TikTokers like Brooklyn, they experienced growth at unprecedentedly fast rates. As I mentioned before, Brooklyn went from 110,000 followers in March 2020 to 1 million followers just a couple of months later. Charli D'Amelio, the platform's most followed creator, has accumulated over 150 million followers since she started posting in May 2019. Charli even became the first TikTok creator to reach 100 million followers just over 1 year after going viral on the app. Rebecca Jennings for Vox explains, quote, "TikTok has created a celebrity manufacturing machine that operates faster and more powerfully than any social media platform that has come before it, turning average teenagers into international stars in a matter of weeks, sometimes days." These astronomical numbers have made TikTok the golden child of the social media industry over the past couple of years, and many of the brands that fund this industry now funnel a huge portion of their content marketing and influencer marketing budgets into TikTok. This is arguably a risky move in the long term, as the recent flop influencer discourse has revealed an obvious but often unreported flaw in the platform. TikTok's biggest creators are more likely to have a large following of unengaged followers. Consider the nature of how people typically use TikTok. Do you know anyone who regularly scrolls the following page? Probably not. Because the real thrill of TikTok is discovering what the algorithm serves us. Most of us scroll the For You page where we are exposed to random videos chosen by the algorithm. When we come across a video or two from a creator that we enjoy, we might hit follow. But scrolling the For You page regularly also means that we might never see that creator's content again. As a result, we are less likely to unfollow creators that we are no longer interested in. We've seen the consequences of these unengaged followers play out in a few different ways over the past couple of years. One notable example is VidCon 2022, where TikTokers like @MissDarcy shared that there were empty lines at their meet and greet sessions. And a more recent example of this would be the rise and somewhat fall off of Bobbi Althoff. Since finding astronomical virality for her awkward celebrity podcast interviews, Bobbi has switched up her vibe in recent months. She's more warm and inviting on her podcast, and even her look has gone from kind of natural and laid back to super glam. While she's still getting the views because she is interviewing massive celebrities, her relevance has waned. This is because Bobbi has always been what social media manager Julia Broom calls a cold creator. Julia describes a cold creator as an influencer who posts a lot of content for their audience to consume without investing in turning that audience into a community.
Number one reason that I can see her falling off for good is because she is not in the slightest creating a community. She is what I like to call a cold creator. She puts out a bunch of content and then leaves her audience in the cold, not engaging at all and not caring about what anybody has to say in the comments. To me, it's pretty clear that she has no genuine interest in creating a community, and all she cares about is growing her audience and growing her followers so that she can make more money and get more brand deals.
From a commercial perspective, many TikToker-led brands have also closed in recent years, further solidifying that these creators sometimes struggle to monetize their followings effectively. Take Item Beauty and Skincare by Hyram, for example. Last January, reports emerged that beauty retailer Sephora dropped both brands from its shelves. With both Addison Rae and Hiram Yarbrough being established creators with tens of millions of followers at the time their brands launched, it's clear that large TikTok followings do not always convert. A more recent example of this is TikToker Emily Mariko. Just this week, Emily released a range of tote bags called Farmers Market Totes, which she is selling for $120. Her comment section is filled with people saying they are not interested in paying that amount of money for a tote bag, and creator @HouseDrama chalks this up to Emily's lack of engagement with her followers, essentially calling her a cold creator.
Have you guys read all those comments under that video? People are like, there is no way I am buying this tote bag for $120. And one of the biggest mistakes I think Emily Mariko did while being an influencer was never engaging with her audience. Never once has she tried to comment or like or interact with anybody that supports her. But when she wants her followers to go and support her business and buy her $120 tote bag, she'll make 5 videos about it. I mean, she hasn't even made a video addressing like what kind of material this is, why it's so great. All she has is a couple videos of her showing how much can fit in the tote bag. Now, interacting with your audience and the people that support you, your 12 million followers, that's the bare minimum. And when you're not even doing the bare minimum, don't expect people to want to buy your $120 farmer's market tote bag.
Annabelle Ben-David for Centennial World contrasts these flops with the influence of creators from generations past. Quote, on the other hand, YouTubers of years past have had to carefully craft their content, building a robust fan base and consistent viewership. Not only is this sense of community comforting for viewers, but it also ensures a much more stable career for the creator. Having spent the time and effort building a community, YouTubers have viewers who are more likely to follow them across platforms, buy merchandise, and even go out to meet them in person. With Evan's TikTok kicking off a viral discussion about flop influencers, some of the creators tagged in his comments have responded to this label, including Brooklyn, who posted her own stitch of Evan's video.
Flop influencer here. Okay, I can't talk about other people, but I can yap about myself, so I will. I dropped out of high school, and then I moved to LA when I was 17 alone. I'm now about to turn 20 in March. Holy crap, time flies. But I don't know. I don't really see it as a flop because I moved out here. I took a new opportunity. I also knew when I moved that this wasn't what I was going to do for the rest of my life, whether that was if I wanted to move into a different form of entertainment or I found out for me entirely. It's just not for me. I don't really like or enjoy the limelight at all. It doesn't fill up my cup of tea. It doesn't get me excited to get out of bed in the morning.
Now, Brooklyn says she's returning to Canada and starting school, which she is, quote, really, really excited about. I actually reached out to Brooklyn through her management for comment on being a, quote unquote, flop influencer and her plans for the future, but did not hear back. Brooklyn's path of returning to normal life is one we're starting to see more creators take, like Viner turned YouTuber turned singer Gabby Hanna. In January, Gabby shocked internet users after appearing as a fitness instructor in a promotional video for a YMCA in Lawrence County. Given that Gabby managed to maintain relevance for a decade online, she is not exactly a flop influencer in the way that Evan described it, but at one point, Gabby was one of the most famous people on the internet. After finding social media fame on Vine, Gabby successfully moved to YouTube in the mid-2010s and became known for posting comedy skits and dating story times. She soon became a frequent collaborator with the platform's most popular influencers at the time, like Shane Dawson and the Vlog Squad. But Gabby's popularity waned as she became entangled in controversies with fellow creators like Joey Graceffa, Trisha Paytas, and Jessie Smiles. As the years went on, her fans became increasingly concerned about her mental health. This came to a head in August 2022 when Gabby posted hundreds of emotional and erratic TikTok videos, leading internet users to call the police for wellness checks. Now, with Gabby returning to a more normal life as a fitness instructor, it's easy to call her influencing career a flop. But many internet users are happy to see her enter this new stage of her life, especially after social media took such a toll on her mental health. TikToker at Katie.com put it like this. Quote, she is now doing something that she always said. If she wasn't going to be a YouTuber, she wants to be a fitness instructor. So she has obviously done a lot of work in the year we haven't seen her. Returning to a more regular life is one way that influencers who reach this alienation stage react to the shift in their career. The other way, attempting to reinvent themselves in the public eye. And former Vlog Squad member Jason Nash is a notorious example of this. After the Vlog Squad's cancellation in 2021, Jason has struggled to find his place in the online zeitgeist. Where other Vlog Squad members stepped away from YouTube, like David Dobrik, who primarily posts on Snapchat these days, it seems Jason has taken to TikTok Live as his main platform. Live streaming is one of the most lucrative features on the short-form video app, where followers can send the creators gifts, which convert to money. But over the past few months, Jason's live streams have ramped up enormously, and many have accused him of begging his followers for these TikTok gifts to sustain his income. Jason's shameless live streams have caught the attention of several of his famous peers, including Tana Mojo and Ethan Klein, who have both made public statements about this trajectory.
Can someone make Jason Nash a fucking DoorDash account? If I open my TikTok one more time to seeing him begging for roses on my Live For You page, I'm calling CPS.
Jason Nash, as everybody knows by now, has gained a reputation for, and I mean this with all sincerity, and I mean this in the unmeanest way possible. Everybody knows him now for begging for money on TikTok Live.
While Brooklyn, Gabby, and Jason are all creators who flopped in one way or another, it's important to also consider influencers, particularly TikTok creators from that pandemic era, who have managed to maintain relevancy and build a strong community of followers. One such creator is Brittany Broski. Brittany rose to prominence in mid-2019 from a viral video of her trying kombucha for the first time. Since that breakthrough moment, Brittany has built a substantial following of over 12 million followers on TikTok and close to 2 million subscribers on YouTube. She has since diversified her content with the introduction of a medieval-themed talk show called Royal Court and her podcast, The Broski Report. Though Brittany's story does sound similar to other influencers I've covered in this episode, she differentiated herself from her peers in a few ways. First, Brittany strategically crafted a personal brand that resonated with her audience. Rather than pushing the Kombucha Girl brand, she consciously distanced herself from it. In a 2020 interview with Vox, Brittany acknowledged her Kombucha Girl label, but emphasized that she is much more than that. Quote, "If that's how people know you, then that's how people know you. But you just have to keep posting what you want to post. If it does shitty, then it does shitty, but at least you like it." Being chronically online herself, Brittany also understood the importance of a strong creator-fan relationship. Rather than riding the wave of her initial TikTok fame, Brittany made the jump to longer-form content early, a format that, as we know, is much more conducive to growing a community. She also has a private spam TikTok account to better showcase her personality to her fans and created a cohesive brand across channels without simply repurposing content from other platforms. The surge of flop influencers right now highlights the fleeting nature of internet fame and the volatile nature of the creator economy. While we've always known that being an influencer is an unstable career, it's only become harder to maintain relevance with the introduction of TikTok in recent years, which, as I mentioned previously, gives us a new class of famous creators basically every week. The discussion around flop influencers reinforces how one viral moment is just not enough to parlay into a career these days. But the proliferation of flop influencers in recent years also raises the question of whether platforms should take more steps to financially safeguard creators. This discussion has been gaining attention, particularly in the last year after the SAG-AFTRA strike. Though platforms rely on creators for their user acquisition, financial security, and just overall success, creators find themselves at the mercy of algorithms and are forced to rely on platforms that often lack transparency about their operations and revenue models. Amanda Silberling for TechCrunch recently wrote a piece discussing how creators should be starting workers' unions to protect themselves. Quote, "Longtime YouTuber Hank Green tried building the Internet Creators Guild, but the idea came perhaps too early. The project lacked the funding and momentum to keep it running, so it shut down in 2019. Now, Ezra Cooperstein, a veteran in the industry, is working on a project called Creators.org, which is a nonprofit aiming to act as a unified voice for creators. A similar group, the Creators Guild of America, launched in August. In a similar vein, a report by the American Influencer Council and Tracker surveyed over 100 career creators, finding a significant income gap in the creator economy, something that many flop influencers would likely experience. There were 3 key findings in this report. Number 1, 50% of respondents, as in career creators, make less than $100,000 annually. Number 2, 47% of the responders felt stressed about their finances. And number 3, almost 50% reported that the average rate of their brand deals are under $1,000. Finally, the rise of flop influencers shows how difficult it is to build a community on the most popular platforms, making it harder for a creator to monetize an audience based on their personal brand alone. Considering this, there seems to be a shift away from both audiences and corporations investing in influencer-first brands and collaborations. Recent trends reflect this change, like the closure of Jaclyn Cosmetics. After being acquired, Jaclyn Cosmetics' parent company, Forma Brands, very publicly switched to a product-first approach to makeup brands instead of Forma's long-standing influencer-first approach. With influencer brand partnerships losing their selling power, influencers are heavily pushing affiliate marketing and promoting in-app purchasing, like TikTok Shop, which has already taken over the app in the US. As e-commerce blends with entertainment, social media is becoming less social, ushering in the opportunity for community-based platforms like Discord and Geneva to capture Gen Z's money, time, and attention, and moving the creator economy away from virality at all costs. Infinite Scroll is a podcast written, produced, edited, and presented by me, Lauren Meisner, for Centennial World. Additional research and reporting is by Annabelle Ben-David. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys so much, and I am so excited to be back in your ears every single week. Stay tuned over the next couple of weeks for more exciting updates on the podcast coming soon.